doing that.
Now, probably a good idea, open it up.
Probably a good idea.
And you still have kind of room and maybe put another like a bifold door in either.
Are you going to Las Vegas?
Take this test.
You staying at the Wish? So expensive. And if I
Okay, the speaker today had asked me to read an introduction for him, so he handed me this piece of paper and asked me to read it, so I'm just going to read this. I'd like to tell you about a gentleman who has achieved great results in the real estate industry. He has the following accreditations: ABR, GRI, CRS, but complains he had no MONEY his first year in real estate. Any of you relate to that? Right?
Yeah, sure.
In 1991, John started his career in real estate. A short time later, he was Rookie of the Year in his office. In 1992, John won a gold medal in the Massachusetts Taekwondo State Championship, which qualified him to compete nationally, where he had an opportunity to try out for the United States Olympic team. In 1994, John closed 63 transactions, his third year in the business. In 95, his fourth year in the business, 81 closed transactions. Fifth year in the business, 90 closed transactions in the first 9 months of that year. The last 3 months of that year, he became a manager and had an average of 7% fee for service on each of his listings. The year after that, John became a sales manager and then senior vice president for one of the country's largest real estate companies, where he was then the company's top recruiter 2 years in a row. He also had a phenomenal opportunity to work as a professional speaker, sales trainer, and then director for North America's largest and most results-getting real estate training company, Floyd Wickman Courses. John is currently a regional manager in Western Massachusetts and continues his passion in helping others achieve success in real estate. Let's give John a hand. I totally would have fun. Some of you are like, what the heck just happened? This is a little crazy. Okay. How an agent can guarantee success in real estate. I'm going to go through the 5 questions right off. Number 1, on Monday morning, if you want to guarantee success in real estate, you should first focus on A, floor time, B, bringing in a saleable listing, or C, waiting for buyers to call.
B.
Which one?
B.
B. Which one would you like it to be?
see.
C, right. Thank you for those who are being honest, right? That's great. What is the surest way to increase your income in real estate? A, increase your inventory. B, charge more commissions. Or C, increase the number of hours you work in real estate.
All of the above.
Okay, but that's not an option.
A.
That is the answer, but it's not an option.
B.
Yeah, given a choice between the 3, A is definitely the answer. Increase your inventory. You got it. Number 3, what is the surest way to control your time in real estate? Now, pay attention to the question. What is the surest way to control your time in real estate? Is it A, work with buyers? Go ahead, laugh.
Right.
B, control your listing inventory. Or C, keep your schedule full.
B.
B.
The answer is B, correct. What is the quickest and easiest way to get listing appointments? Mail-outs, door knocking, or telephone prospecting?
C.
That's what.
Depends on the do not call list.
Yeah,
though.
you can.
How many people are on it?
Yeah.
I like
Given a choice between all 3, which is the quickest
B.
and easiest way?
B.
No, it would be C, because door knocking takes more
C.
time to get more contacts. In other words,
C.
for you to get in touch with people, like to be face-to-face would be a contact. It's quicker and easier to get them on the phone than it is in person.
Right, once they're not home.
Right, because they may not be home.
Yeah, but by the time you get through the do not call list, you could have hit
Exactly.
6 houses.
I know.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
But then they may
Very
not have
true,
been
very
home
true.
yet.
But if
Number
you're in a
5.
neighborhood, you just run on to the next little one.
Number 5.
Yeah,
What
but I
is
have
the
to
best-
disagree, John, with number 4, because by
Sure.
the time you get
That's
through
okay. Yeah.
checking the do not call list and everything, you could have hit 6 or 7 houses in one neighborhood.
Did they see your face?
Yeah, I mean, it's then I would recommend that you do that, yeah.
It's the
absolutely.
hardest one to do, so it's probably the highest yielding one.
Yeah.
And it's, I'll bet you door knocking would be.
Yep.
But I thought we weren't allowed to do that
You
anymore.
can door knock.
Well,
We
you
used to
can
do it way back, and then at one time they did tell us, people, people are not gonna answer you, they look through the thing and you.
Well, but yeah, that,
That's
Let me
just
answer
you.
you.
Alright, that's just you.
Now,
I would never answer the door.
given a choice,
See?
given a choice now, if you were telephone prospecting or door knocking, okay, whatever your choice is, what would be the best time to do that? In the evening,
no.
weekday afternoons, or Saturday mornings?
Saturday morning.
Yes. All right. You guys are good. You guys are good. All right.
Yeah, because
The
otherwise.
telephone prospecting.
Who wants to talk to you at night?
I could either go home.
But if it's your sphere, you don't have to worry about
No,
it.
but I mean, I actually tried.
Okay.
like when they call me.
All right.
Close the
Okay.
door.
All right. All right. No, really. No, really. I'm gonna talk. Okay, ready to go. In this workshop, we're going to talk about the difference between succeeding in real estate and wanting to succeed but not succeeding. You see, 70% of the people in this industry want to succeed but they're not succeeding. How many of you agree, by a show of hands, that 70% of the people in this industry are out of control? Raise your hand if you think that. They're out.
In what way?
Well, there's all
They don't
different.
run
In
their
other words,
business.
they're not in control of their outcome. They're not in control of their income. They're not in control of their buyers. They're not in control of whether or not their listings are selling. They're not in control of getting their sellers to make adjustments in their prices. They're out of control. And that's why 70% of the people in this business fail, because they don't have control. In the field of real estate training, I can tell, I can beg, I can plead, I can encourage, I can motivate, I can challenge real estate agents to go out and do whatever is necessary so that they're in control of their careers. However, I've been doing this for 17 years now, okay? And regardless of the group I'm talking to, 70% of the people that get into this business fail to follow my advice. I remember the first year I was in real estate, I sold 17 homes, not a big deal, but sometimes to some people it might be a big deal. I worked my butt off, I worked a lot of hours. If you figured out the number of hours I worked compared to the amount of sales, it wasn't all that impressive. You know what I mean? Oh, 17 houses, that's great, but what you don't know is I work 80 hours a week to do that, okay? That's not impressive. And so, people would ask me, how did you do it? How'd you become Rookie of the Year? Blah, blah. And I would tell them, and they would fail. 70% of the people I talked to, was probably a higher number than that, failed to do any of the things that I recommended to do. So there's a story behind that. It's interesting, It's kind of like it has something to do with our nature as an independent contractor and as salespeople, is that you're not going to tell me what to do. I'm going to do it my way. And I remember saying that to my first manager, and he looked at me and he said, "John, your way isn't working." So think about it. Is your way working? Are you where you want to be? Some people say to me, "John, I don't want to sell 100 homes a year. I only want to sell 12 homes a year." I said, "That's great. Follow my advice. Sell the 12 homes in the first 3 months and take the rest of the year off." How would that be? Okay? So you don't have to take a whole year to sell as many homes as you want to sell, right? Now, it reminds me of a story, and I'm going to refer to my notes to make sure I get the story right here. But it reminds me of a story about a realtor, a doctor, and an architect who were all arguing about who had the best dog. Therefore, to settle the debate, the realtor suggested that they make a wager. Figure it's the realtor that came up with that idea, right? Figured to make a little bet. So each had a bag of bones, and they threw the bones out into the field, each person. The architect said to his dog, "Slide rule? Go get him." And that dog tore out into the field. A bunch of dust and bones are flying up in the air, and when all the dust settled, all you could see is this beautifully constructed bridge the dog had put together. At this point, the realtor is really sweating it. And then the doctor, it's his turn, and he picks up his bag of bones. He throws them out into the field, and he says to his dog, "Scalpel, go get him." And that dog tore out into the field, dust flying, bones flying all over the place. When the dust had settled, you could see the most perfectly human skeleton the dog had put together. And the realtor said, "Wow, this is going to be a tough one." So the realtor said to his dog, he said, "Okay, salesperson, go get him." And the realtor's dog tore out into the field, bones and dust are flying and all over the place. He had coffee with the other two dogs and took the rest of the day off. Right? No one's going to tell me what to do. I'm just going to do what I want to do and be out on my own and make it happen, right? And so this is the kind of the mentality that we tend to adopt. You know, some of the reasons why you got into real estate is that you didn't want a job and a boss and someone to tell you what to do and a schedule and a 9 to 5 and I have to take lunch from 12 to 1. If I want to take a 2-hour lunch, gosh darn it, I'm going to take one, right? If I want to leave early, that's great. If I want to come in late, that's great. But the top producers in the business are disciplined, they have a schedule, and more importantly, they follow a formula. Okay? And that's the issue, really, is that a lot of people, number one, don't know about the formula, and number two, if they do find out about it, they may not follow it. So, now, how many of you came into the real estate business with an optimistic expectation? Raise your hands. Oh, I did. I remember seeing realtors driving Cadillacs, diamond rings, fur coats, and I'm like, wow, nice. I didn't want a diamond ring or fur coat, but I like, you know. But you know what? I said, wow, you know, you can make a lot of money in real estate. I want to do that. So what did John Miller do? He got into real estate. I got a license, got a name badge, business cards, and I figured to myself, you know what? I'm gonna make a lot of what?
Money.
Help me out. A lot of what?
Money.
Money.
You got it right.
Dinero.
Right, dinero. Yet 70% of the people in this business begin to fail within the first 3 months that they're in real estate. And may I tell you the number one reason why?
Yeah, please do.
They're not working the formula. They're not working the formula. Success has very little to do with personality. Some of you think that it does. It has to do with activity. In fact, if you look at some of the top producers when they go up on stage, sometimes you look at their face, they have the personality that's just a little bit to the left of Attila the Hun. You know? And you think about, you know, wow, you know, how did this person do it? It has very little to do with personality. It has a lot to do with activity. Now, if you have a great personality and you're following the formula and you're doing the activities, well, that's great. But there are people that are succeeding in real estate that don't have the personality for this business, but are making tons of money simply because of the activity that they're performing. Now, 70% of the people in this business are putting in the hours. They're putting in the time. In fact, the number one complaint from 70% of the people in this business is that they wish they had more what?
Time.
They wish they had more time. So it's not, the answer is not putting in more time. That's not the answer. And the number one reason why is they're not following the formula. If 20% of the people are making 80% of the income in real estate, think about this. That means that 80% of the people in this land of opportunity that we live in are trying to live off 20% of the income. You feel that? And the number one reason is because they're not following the what? The formula, right?
There is a darn
The formula is so simple. The formula is so simple that it's scary. By the way, would you like to know what the formula is? Yes. All right.
Yeah.
Here's the weekly success formula. Go to your next page where it says the weekly success formula. Did I tease you enough? All right, I'll stop. Number one in the weekly success formula. Each week. Now, here are the first words. Each week, work. Now, we could stop right there. And that'd be great. Each week, work. All right, great. Here's number one for the sex form. Each week, work on bringing in a saleable listing. Each week, work on bringing in a saleable listing. Number 2, separate the lookers from the buyers. Yes.
Can we back up a second?
Sure.
Can you qualify what you mean by saleable? What is that term?
I'm going to get into that. Yes. Yeah. Thank you very much, Phil. Yeah. I'm gonna go back and cover each of these in detail, but I want to give you the formula because I don't want you to be so anxious and be wondering what the formula is for any longer than you already have. Number 2, separate lookers from buyers. Did I already give that one to you?
Yeah.
Okay. Number 3, sell in-house inventory. Number 3, sell in-house inventory. If you follow the formula, you can have more closings in less time and make more money per what? Per hour in real estate. Now, hard work is not the secret in this business. Go to the next page, please. Hard work is not the secret to success in this business. Somewhere on the bottom or on the top, if you would, please write that down. Hard work is not the secret of success in this business. I'm only going to ask you to write things down that are really important. Because there's something about writing on a piece of paper when it goes from the pen up your fingers, into your wrist, through your forearm, into your elbow, up your upper arm, into your shoulder, around to your neck, through your ear, and right into your brain. Okay? So that's what happens. Hard work is not the secret of success in this business. Let's take each part of the formula one part at a time. Number 1, each work on bringing in saleable listings. Okay? In order to bring in saleable listings, you have to make appointments. You have to make appointments. Hear the emphasis in that. What am I emphasizing? The S in appointments. Everyone say that with me. You ready? Say appointments. Very good. In order to get appointments, you need to go on listings. You need to talk about listings. In order to get appointments, you have to make calls. Now, the reason why I'm emphasizing the plural here and the S's is that some people say, John, I made a call and I didn't get an appointment, and therefore I didn't get a listing. So I say to someone, well, have you made calls? And they say, oh, okay, yeah, I made calls. So the agent makes calls, and they go on an appointment from making calls. And they say, John, the formula's not working. I went on an appointment, and it didn't work. I didn't get the listing. Well, I said, well, did you make enough calls to go on appointments so that you could get listings? And say, so they do. They make enough calls, they go on enough appointments, and they get a listing. Singular. And they say, John, the formula's not working. I went and I did everything you said. I made calls, I got appointments, and I went on and I got a listing. And it's not working. I'm not making money in real estate. Here's what I equate this to. Imagine if you were going to open a store where Bombay just closed right now. Well, let's say if Bombay reopened, okay? We'll use that as an analogy. And they had one product on the shelf for sale. Would they go out of business? Yeah, because they don't have enough inventory in the store, right? Now, let's say that they put all these things on the shelves and they priced them right so that they would sell. Would they stay in business? Yes. No, they closed. Well, they didn't price everything right. That's the problem. There are many times I walked into Bombay and say, wow, that's really cool. I'd like to put that in my house, but I don't think it's worth that much money. You know? And then they have these 50% off sales, and even those are inflated prices. And I thought, so somehow or another their business model isn't working. But in real estate, we know for a fact that if we get listings, it works. Now, in this market, let's say that for every 10 listings that you get, 5 will sell within a 6-month time period. In a seller's market, every listing you listed would sell in a week. So what do you have to do differently in this market than you did 2 or 3 years ago? You need to get more. You absolutely need to get more. So you have to have a system in place in order to get more what? In order to make more money in real estate, to be in control. Remember we talked about 70% of people that are out of control? 70% of the people that I talk to in real estate, that I've been talking to for the past 17 years, who are out of control, frustrated, ready to quit this business, they're always working with a buyer that's not buying. They're forever working with that buyer that's just not writing up the offer. And when they do write up an offer, they don't come in high enough to get it settled. And here's what my heart goes out to you, because here's what the problem is. And you know, people can apply this to dating too. Any of you who are single or who used to be single can relate to this, right? You know, when you're taking up all your time with the wrong buyer, you don't have time to meet the right buyer, right? So by virtue of you spending all day Saturday and Sunday working with the wrong buyer, carting them around, guess what? The real buyer that would love you and like you and trust you and that wants to work with you went to an open house last Sunday, and you weren't at the open house. Some other realtor was at the open house. You were out showing your buyer around for the 6th week in a row. You follow me? And so you're better off saying no to the leads that aren't really hot and doing nothing, or doing some more prospecting, or doing an open house, or doing anything that falls on these 16 items right here, doing something like this, than taking that buyer out who isn't going to buy today. Did you bring your checkbook with you? No, go get it. We're buying a house today. The way I work with buyers is I say, hey, come on into the office. Here are a list of homes that meet your criteria. We're going to get in my car and you're going to pick one. If they object at any point to anything I'm saying, I don't work with them. You're going to get pre-approved financially. How soon do you need to buy a home? I don't need to buy a home. Well, do you really want to buy a house? Well, yeah, I really want to buy a house. Okay, good. Just checking. We're going to go out, and I'm going to show you the 5 homes that meet your criteria the best, and we're going to pick the one you like the best. We're going to come back to the office and write up an offer on that property. Any questions? And guess what? The motivated buyers say, no, let's go. And guess what? Those are the people that I would put in my car. Okay? I'm going to talk a little bit more about that in a minute. So, what is the major secret of success in real estate? Well, here it is. I'll give it to you. Go into the office at 8:30 every Saturday morning and make calls until you get 5 appointments. Go into your office every Saturday morning and make calls until you get 5 appointments, 5 listing appointments. Some of you can knock that out in short time. My fiance does this. She's a real estate agent in Shrewsbury, Massachusetts. It is a GMAC office. And 2 or 3 months into the business, I always have to say that, you know. And 2 or 3 months into the business, she had, by 3.5 months into the business, she had 13 listings, 2 under agreement, and 1 offer that was being negotiated. And that offer was accepted, and now 2 of them have closed, and now she has another 1 under agreement. But she went out and got these, and all she did, and she's working part-time every Thursday and Friday, is the real estate time that she works. When she gets buyer leads, she refers them to other agents in her office and collects a 25% referral fee for doing nothing but sending out a phone call. Talk about making a lot of money per hour in real estate, right? Doesn't put them in her car, doesn't take them anywhere, works part-time, works out of the house, goes on the appointments, schedules appointments. That she says it like this: I'm available tomorrow, Friday. If it's Thursday, she'll say, I'm available tomorrow in the morning or afternoon. Which time would be better for you? Well, I'm not available tomorrow. Oh, how about next Thursday? And this is her schedule. This is the time that she's working and making money in real estate. Average commission in Shrewsbury is about $5,000. Do the math.
Who is she calling? Her sphere or?
She's calling for sale by owners and expireds.
Okay. Does she
And
have to
there are
check in
so
with the do
many
not,
of them.
and the do not call list has not been a problem for her?
I'm not sure. She
Maybe she's making so much money she can afford the $10,000 fine that she'll
probably
get.
she probably could.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, think about it. Do the math. She could, couldn't she? Yeah.
Would her manager endorse that, I wonder? I mean,
I don't know. I don't know.
I got to ask because I want to follow the formula.
Sure, absolutely.
You know?
The form is to make the calls. Now, follow this, okay? The do not call list, right? I don't know how her office handles the do not call list. I don't know what they do for that, okay? All I know is that she's making calls. So, you know what? If you have to get on the do not call list and find out the numbers that you can call, then get more of those. I mean, you have to put more people through the do not call list to get more people that you can call. I'm going to tell you right now, the do not call list was the most phenomenal thing that has happened to real estate agents in years. For two reasons. Number one, it's for two different agents. Number one, the do not call list was great because, in my opinion, it created a call list. In fact, you know what was funny is when I entered numbers into the do not call list, there was a little red word that popped up in the bottom when they were not on the do not call list, and guess what that word was? Call. It was almost a directive. It was like, okay, call these people. The second type of agent that the do not call list empathized with and really helped out a lot of agents is that gave them a great excuse not to get on the phone. It was perfect. I was like, well, I can't prospect for sale by notice expires anymore because of that darn do not call list. Darn that do not call list. Now I can't call anybody anymore. Well, those people weren't calling anyone to begin with anyway. This was just a great excuse. Some of you are comfortable with some of the things I say, and that's okay. You know, if you left here thinking the same things that you did when you came in, I wouldn't be doing my job, right? My job is to try to expand your mind a little bit and think a little differently and make you a little bit uncomfortable because that's how you grow. That's how muscles grow. You make them uncomfortable. If you're lifting a weight and you make your muscles sore, how many people have ever worked out before? Raise your hand. I can't raise my hand. But sometimes when I've worked out involuntarily, you know, I've had, you know, my muscles were sore, and I say, geez, you know, this is so, your muscles are expanding, they're growing. It's the same thing with your mind. It's uncomfortable. Some of the things I'm going to say are uncomfortable. I'm not apologizing for it. In fact, you should be thanking me for it. Maybe you will later on in your career, who knows, once you get over this pain. But then you go through and you say, listen, the do not call list is a great excuse for me not to call anymore. And so agents don't call. Truly, honest to goodness, if I were a real estate agent in this business right now, and I had a list of expired listings, and this is not an original idea. I heard this at the convention last year at Experience 2007 from one of the trainers that was there. And what he did is he had these plastic corrugated signs, you know, the corrugated plastic signs, and he had them printed at a sign shop that made it look like his company's for sale sign, but it wasn't his company's for sale. It just looked like it. It was, you know, the cheap corrugated that cost like maybe $10 a piece. And he took one of those you know, those stickers that they have that say sold on them, and he put it across the corrugated sign. And he'd go out and he'd have 10 a day at $10 a piece, $100 a day. He'd put them in his car, and he'd drop them off to expired listing appointments, and he'd put it in between their storm door and their door. He'd like position it right up to their back door, the door that they walk into. And on there was a little note that said, this could be the sign in your front lawn if you had hired me. Call me. I have some ideas as to why your home hasn't sold. Dealing with the do not call list, some of you are totally not impressed with that, but I mean, it's doing what?
Something, yeah.
Doing something, right? It's doing something. What if you just stop by the house and just put that letter in their door? You know, I was sharing with Bill the other day, what I used to do is used to take a yellow sticky note, and I would take my business card underneath half of the yellow sticky note, and I'd stick it to the door so when they came home they'd see the yellow sticky note and my business card stuck under the sticky note. And on the sticky note, if it were an expired listing, I would just simply write, hello, sorry I missed you. I have some ideas as to why your home hasn't sold. Please call me, John. It was better than, you know, and those are for people that had unlisted phone numbers. I would do that for. In today's day and world, I would do that on people who were on the do not call list. I would even write, I would have loved to have called you, but you're on the do not call list. You know, please call me. I have some ideas as to why your home hasn't sold. Expires.
So what do you tell them then when they call back and they say, hey, so what are your ideas?
And here's what I say. This is very important. Please hear this, feel it, write it down. Here's the dialogue. I don't know. I haven't seen your house yet. So what does that get me?
Appointment.
It gets me an appointment.
Yeah.
Right? Only one.
You never know. They may say, well, you said you had ideas.
I do. I have ideas, but I haven't seen your house yet. I have lots of ideas, but I need to see your home first in order to tell you which of all of my ideas are going to apply to your home. Some people will say this to you. And by the way, no one ever says that. No one ever said that to me. You know, what are your ideas? No one ever said it. You know, 90% of what you worry about the most will never happen. That's part of what I have to do to convince all of you to take action on some of these steps, is that your worries will never happen.
Rejection.
And so, but sometimes they say this to me. What's your first name?
Oh, rejection.
Marianne. Marianne calls me up and she says, John, what's your commission? Go ahead, ask me.
What's your commission?
I don't know. I haven't seen your house yet. I mean, if it's a real dump, I might have to charge you 10%. So, you know, the answer is, I don't know. I haven't seen your house yet. Well, what would you list it for? What price?
I don't know.
I'm not sure yet. I haven't seen your house yet. I'm available Thursday morning, or would Thursday afternoon be better for you? Okay? So that's how you get the appointment. Too many people are failing in this business because they're trying to get price adjustments and listings and offers over the what? Over the phone. It doesn't work. Part of the formula, another rule of thumb, is you've got to get face-to-face with these people. Some people would argue the only time you're making money, the only money-making activity you're truly making in real estate, the only thing that leads to you getting a commission check is you being face-to-face with another live human being that's ready, willing, and able to make a purchase or a sale. Okay? So focus on those activities. In fact, if I took your day timer, if I took your appointment book and I looked through it, and I looked at how many appointments and what types of appointments you have set out for the next 2 weeks to the month, I could determine your income by the end of this year. Some people think that's magic. But it's not. Your appointments will determine your income. And some of you have appointments to show houses, right? Some of you who are really making it in real estate don't put that in your appointment book. You put in your appointment book, sell houses. I'm going to, you know, when someone's leaving the office, Marianne, next time you're in your office and somebody's leaving, you say, hey, where are you going? And they say, I'm going to show some houses. Say, oh, that's too bad. I feel bad for you. I'm sorry. Because when I leave this office, I'm going to go out and sell a house. Ooh, wow. This is a different paradigm shift, right? But adopt that mentality, and you will, you know, you get what you expect in life and in real estate. It's very interesting. Now, so what's the secret of success in selling in real estate? I just gave it to you.
Calls, appointments, listings.
Getting face-to-face with.
Yes. And what's the yeah, all that is correct, absolutely very true. And then there's I called it the secret. It's one of the secrets. What do? You go into, read your notes. You wrote it down.
Oh.
Go into,
The trance.
yes, right. Hypnotic state of mind, right. Who has it?
Go into hard work.
What was your question again?
I asked you to write it down somewhere on your
I
paper,
haven't seen your home yet.
and I said,
Oh, hard work is not the secret to success.
no, that's what not the secret of success. But what is the secret to success in real estate?
Activity. Make
I've
appointments.
seen some of you write it down.
Activities.
I don't
Bring
know,
in saleable
I haven't seen
listings.
your home yet.
Selling houses.
Go to the office.
Yeah. Oh. What's your
Saturday
name?
morning.
What's your-
Suzanne.
Suzanne, please read that out loud so that we can hear you.
Go in the office on Saturday morning and make calls.
Yep. At what time? What time do you go into the office on Saturday morning?
8:30.
8:30. Get ready. Get your coffee. Get your numbers. Get your do not call list stuff out of the way, and start making your calls by 9. And keep calling until you get how many appointments?
Don't start calling
Right.
until
Right.
9.
Wait for
Five
more.
Or
days.
10,
Oh,
right?
not on Saturday.
Saturday morning.
All right. I'm going to say something else. I'm going to say something else. Okay? Feel this. You may not like the phone. I don't like the phone. I didn't like the phone. I still don't like the phone. But feel this now. Every job has something you don't like. Would you agree?
Yeah.
So here's my advice. Just pick up the phone. Okay? Nothing fancy about it. Just pick up the phone and make the calls. Now, number 2, separate lookers from buyers. I'm going to give you some advice about this. I'm going to show you how to do that on number 2. How to separate lookers from buyers. You ready?
Yeah.
Only work with the buyers that will come into your office.
That's fun.
I can hear the exasperation in your voice. Oh God. And I know what you're thinking. You have to have a lot of internal confidence to do this because you might lose some, right? Is that what some of you are thinking? Well, if I only work with people that will come into my office, I might lose some buyers. In fact, feel this. You may lose as many as you're losing now, only my way, you'll lose them quicker. Okay? Think about it. Because you're afraid if I only work with the buyers that will come into my office and don't work with the ones that aren't, then I'm going to lose some. And what I'm saying is that you'll lose as many as you're losing now, only this way you'll lose them quicker. Some people say this to me. They say, but John, I'm going to lose buyers. They're not going to, how am I going to get them to come into the office? And they're just whining and whining about it. And I would caution you on sticking to the formula. Stick with the formula. Yes, you had a question.
What if you know this person and they're looking in a different area than when your office is? I haven't worked with anybody who's in the area of my office.
Me too.
So
Sure.
That's right.
for them to make the trip all the way down there, for us to go out and
Go to a different office.
Turn around and
Meet them at a different office.
All right. Now hold on to that thought.
we know that, I just wanted to make
Not
it more
as easy
clear
for them if we kind of have a sense of.
All right. How many of you would like me to answer that question?
What was it?
Ask her, she'll tell you, right? The question is, what if, what if, I think about that, I said, what if a frog had wings, it wouldn't bump its butt when it lands, But what if, I know it's bizarre. Now, what if, let me ask you a question. What if you called a professional attorney, and he was a friend, and he came out to your house to meet with you? Or a doctor, or an accountant? Do these people make house calls?
Well, the attorney does.
Well, if
Probably
it's a close.
doctor.
There are exceptions, right?
Right.
Exception.
Here's my point. If that's for me, just tell them I'm in a seminar right now. If your fries are ready. No, it's serious. You shouldn't laugh about phones going. I remember, a friend of mine got hurt really bad from his cell phone going off. And he got really hurt really bad. He got beat up.
His wife was on the other end. He was at his girlfriend.
So of course he was in some woman's closet at the time when her husband came home. But that was, I'm just kidding. It's a joke. You're like mortified. Like, oh my gosh. I got these ideas. I watched a soap opera one time, and I got that idea from the cell phone went off. He's in the closet. You get on the car ride home. Anyway, so here's what I'm saying is that there may be some small exceptions, but here's the problem. People will take that and use it as an exception and do it all the time. And so it starts expanding to it's not just a friend, it's someone else and so on and so on. But here's what I'm saying to you. The best way to see, I used a word earlier today that I want you to hold on to. What did I do with my marker? Oh, here it is. I used a word today. Control. Okay? Now, again, I'm going to say some things that are going to make you very uncomfortable. Feel this. Who's in control? When you have them drive 40 minutes to come to your office, now feel this. You didn't hear the rest of the story. You're going to sit down with them. You're going to explain to them agency disclosure. You're going to have a cup of coffee with them. You're going to walk them over to your computer, and you're going to say, let's sit down here and let's pick out the criteria of homes you're looking for. When they're done with that, you're going to walk them over to where your loan originator is and get them financially qualified. You're then going to go over and take a stack of home warranty brochures and explain to them that home warranties are available to them. You're going to ask them to pick out one of the 5 homes that they search in the computer and narrow it down to the best 3 to 5 homes that meet their criteria in their price range that you determined from getting them pre-approved from the mortgage person in your office. And then you're going to make appointments, and you can do it with them right there to go out and see those homes, and then leave to go and either see the homes right then and there or set a time to go see other properties. Okay? Or you can go and meet them at Friendly's restaurant near their house. Or you can go meet them at a property that you both picked out that they told you that they wanted to see. And by the way, your relationship with some buyers is that they call you, you have them on your website, you send them listings on an automated basis, and they call you and tell you what they want to see, when they want to see it, and they haven't bought a house yet. Who's in control? Agent number 1 or agent number 2? Agent number 1. So what I'm saying is that if you want to change your results, get in what?
Control.
Get in control. To get in control, I'm going to give you some very strict advice. Only work with the buyers that will come into your office, and don't work with the ones that won't. If they're close and they're friends of yours, they should absolutely do whatever you tell them to do. Listen, here's how I work, and here's how I'm going to best help you. I need you to drive over to my office. Ah, geez, it's like 40 minutes away. I know, but there are some important things there that I want to share with you, and you're buying a home. Listen, I've traveled 40 minutes away to get a good haircut. I've traveled 40 minutes to get good legal advice. I've traveled an hour and a half to meet with an accountant because I knew that they were going to save me the most amount of money and keep me out of trouble legally by doing the proper things that an accountant should do to do that. People take time off of work, of their jobs, to get their teeth cleaned. And you're offering them to purchase the largest investment of their life, the most important decision that they can make in their life, and we're driving out to their house or driving them to meet at another house. Where is that going to go? It's going to go where you're not in control. Again, there's a huge difference between the activities that top producers do and the activities that the average agent is producing. If you want to achieve above average results, what I mean by that is selling more homes in less time. Follow the formula. Yes.
So if they're not a friend and they say, you know, forget it. If you can't just show me the house, I don't want to see it. You say, okay, thank you very much. Goodbye. You know?
Well,
is that what you would say?
Yeah.
no, I would use a different dialogue than that. I wouldn't use those words. Here's what I might say. Let's, if you don't mind, let's role play. Okay? You be the buyer. I'm going to give you the easy part. I'll have the tough part. Okay?
All right.
You be the buyer. I'm going to be the agent.
Okay.
I'm in my office. Phone rings.
Okay.
Ring, ring. Hello.
Hello.
House in GMAC. How may I help you?
I saw a house down the street, and I was wondering if you could, or I saw a house
Yeah.
down the street from where I live. I was wondering if you could show it to me.
Absolutely. And by the way, I'm going to go through this dialogue. And if you want this dialogue in writing, I can email it to you, but you're going to have to email me and say you want it, okay? So that, and then I'll reply and I'll attach the dialogue with it. Well, thank you for calling on that property. I'm going to look up all the details on that house, but just so I know which property it is, could you read the ad to me, please?
1, 2, 3. Oh, I don't have the ad in front of me. I just saw the sign.
Okay, great. And so you already know what the address is then, since you
Yeah.
saw the sign.
Yeah,
What's
it's
the
1,
address?
2, 3 Main Street.
All right, I'm going to look up all the details on that property. I'm going to put you on hold for just a second. And just so I don't lose you, what is your name and number so in case I lose you and call you back?
My name's Suzanne,
Okay.
and please make it quick because I'm really busy.
Absolutely, yeah. Please hurry up and give me your phone
I'm a
number so
very
I can look this
important
up. Yeah. I mean, the faster you give me this, the faster
I
you'll
don't feel comfortable giving you my number, but no.
That's good. That's
most
good.
people give it to
They
you.
say that.
Listen,
I
I'm
was
gonna
going to say
tell
I'm
you.
at work and I can't give you my
Say,
number.
never mind, I'll call you back.
Hold on. 90% of the things and objections that you're coming up to with me never happen.
Yes,
Oh
sir.
no, it does
Yeah.
happen. It happens
Yeah.
all the time on
But
the
listen,
phone.
you
I
didn't.
get people all
no,
the time.
time out. Listen, I know what I'm talking about. It happens, but you're not using the exact dialogue that I'm using.
Okay.
Because here's the reason why you're not getting the name and number. You're not putting them on hold. That's the part you missed.
I always put them on.
Yeah, but in Training 101, they said never put them on hold because then they get tired of waiting and they leave and go to the next real estate office down the road.
They may do that. They may do that. Okay. And guess what? You're afraid to put them on hold because you're afraid you're gonna
I
lose them.
always put them on hold.
What did I say earlier about losing them?
Let's quit asking later.
Better lose them fast enough. What people do you want to work with? Now follow this. You are in the only profession where you can, so a light bulb went on for a lot of you when I said that, right? What happened is there are a lot of people in this, you're the only profession that I really can think of and know that you get to choose who you want to work with. So let me ask you a question. Think about the personality of the person that calls you up on the phone and won't give you their number. Do you ever think you're going to be here with them in control? Never. They will never let you.
What would you say to them if they said, I don't feel comfortable giving you my name, I just want the information on the house?
Who went to the last seminar? Raise your hand. What do you say when you get the last Friday? What do you say when you get an objection? What are the two words?
No problem.
No problem. You don't want to give me no, I'd say no problem.
Okay.
Let's continue to role play. But I want to make a real important point. That if this person is being a jerk on the phone, guess what? They're probably a jerk in person. And do you want to work with jerks or not?
No.
You want to work with people that like you, love you, and trust you. But that's it. But listen, feel this. That's a problem.
Yeah.
If you have the mentality attitude that I'm going to work with anybody, whoever comes to me, and by the way, that's what a lot of agents are doing because there are still a lot of agents in the business and fewer prospects to work with. So agents are just working with whoever they can. They're just happy to have a lead. The problem is that lead is not leading to income. That's the problem, and that's why we need to, in this market, make more calls to get more appointments, to get more listings, because if you like working with buyers, the best way to attract a good buyer is to get a listing, and a listing that's priced right.
Hallelujah!
He scared me too. That's good, Bill. I like that.
Yeah.
Okay. So you know what? Like, and they say, you know, training 101 and all these things you've been taught. Listen, if I don't share with you some new information today, you might not come back. If I don't share with you some new information today and teach you what to do in this market, listen, I sold 90 homes a year. I know a few things. And what I'm telling you is tried and proven, history proven, psychologically sound techniques that work. Okay? So what I'm asking you to do, I probably should have said this in the beginning, the only way you're really going to get a benefit from anything I tell you is to first have an open mind. You have to have an open mind first in order for any of these things to work. And change the way you've been doing things, because think about the way you've been doing things before, and are you getting all the results you want? I know a lot of you are doing a lot of the right things and a lot of good things, and a lot of you are making a lot of good money, but if you want to make more, you need to change what you're doing. Here's the deal. If you're performing certain activities and you're selling 20 homes a year, and you're in the top 5% of the agents in your company, well, how would you like to make that 40 transactions a year? You have to change what you're doing in order to change your results. You need to change what you're thinking first in order to change what you're doing. See, it has to start here before it starts with your actions. So let's continue to role play. You say, I don't want to give you my number, right? At this point, I've already decided that this customer is probably not the type of customer that works well with me.
I have cash.
Again, you know, I'll be honest with you.
Doesn't matter.
What I'm thinking in my mind is I don't really care, because people with cash sometimes want to get a steal.
Yes.
And who's going to spend the rest of their life driving them around, writing up low offers until they get a steal? Again, you're probably not the best buyer that works well with me. Okay? See, this isn't about the biggest challenge that I have as a manager and as a sales trainer is to get you to think differently than the way you are. The technique it works. I already know that. I can share it with you till I'm blue in the face. My toughest job is to get you to believe that it works, so that you actually try it and implement it, and then you have some success with it, and then you keep doing it over and over again. And not everybody can do that. But I'm trying. I'm just trying to touch a few people. So the dialogue goes like this. You say, okay, so you've given me your name and the number, and what was your name that you used?
Suzanne.
Suzanne, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So Suzanne, and it's a fake name. She'd probably give me a fake number too. You might get that, right?
555.
Right.
555.
So Suzanne, hold on 1 second. I'm going to get the information on the property. I put her on hold, and the only reason why I put her on hold to begin with is to get a name and number for her. Because when I ask for a name and number and they give it to me, who's more in control of the conversation? Starting right out from the starting gate, you have to start it out. How many of you ever trained a dog? How many of you ever trained a child? You have to, in order for you to be effective in doing any one of those things, you have to let that other person or animal know that you are in what?
Control.
If you're not in control, then you're out of control, and you're not going to, that relationship is not going to lead to you making a commission, okay? So, I come back on the phone and I say, hello, Suzanne, I have all the information here on the property. Tell me what it is that you'd like to know about the home.
How much is it?
Okay, the price on this is $289.9. Is that a price range that you'd be comfortable with?
Absolutely.
It would. Okay. What else would you like to know about the
How many
property?
bedrooms, how many bathrooms, how many closets?
Okay, now I'm going to back up a second because Suzanne actually was calling originally. She doesn't want this. She wants to just make an appointment to see the house, remember?
Yeah.
So I'd like you to just keep pressing me on that. Like, I gave you the price.
Okay.
Yes, it's in my price range, but John, what do you want to do? Tell me.
Can I see it this afternoon?
Okay, well, let's do this. I'm assuming time is important to you, right, Suzanne?
Very important.
Right, and I knew you'd mentioned that you're in a hurry on the phone call like this. I'm going to share with you some information, and once I share this with you, you might not want to see this home at all.
Oh, I want to see it.
But when I tell you what I'm about to tell you, you may not want to see it.
Okay.
Can I tell you what it is?
Yeah, quickly.
Okay. Most people who call in on an ad never buy the home they call in. In fact, the National Association of Realtor Statistics tell me that 3% of people who actually call in an ad actually buy the home that they called in on, but they buy a similar property that's close to the one they bought in on. So if time is important to you, what I suggest we do in order for me to save you time, you get in your car, you drive over to the property, you wait for me to get there, we're both standing outside in the cold, and I'm fidgeting with the lockbox, trying to get it open and trying to get you into the property, and then you look at the property and you find out that it's not for you, and then I, in fact, have wasted your time. So in order to save you time, why don't we do this? I'm going to share with you some information on the property, more information on the property than you have by driving by and seeing that sign or seeing the ad, and let's determine if whether or not this is even a property you even want to look at.
I want to look at it. Can you just show it to me this afternoon?
Well, before I show it to you, because I don't want to waste your time, let's confirm that this property is for you. What else do you need to know about the home?
How many bedrooms?
See how I got back in control, right? I turned it around. She tried to get, good job. She tried to get control of me. I just flipped it back on her. Bedrooms, there are 3 bedrooms. What do you think of that?
That's perfect.
All right, what else do you need to know?
Bathrooms.
1 bath.
Okay.
You don't sound happy about that. What else do you want to know about the property? I'm feeling
I
this.
just want to see the property.
Yeah, but what else do you want to know about it?
I have to get to Starbucks. I don't have time
Right.
to. No. That's it. I just want to see it. I've driven by it. I live right down the street. I've been waiting for this property to go on sale. I just want to see it.
Okay. I mentioned 1 bath. I heard you say,
That's okay. My husband's a carpenter. He can
you're
make
going to build another bath? Okay. Let me ask you this question. Would you prefer to buy a home that has 2 baths?
No, I really just want to see this one.
You sure?
only one.
All right.
Positive.
Have you been pre-approved by a lender?
Yes.
You have? Is it possible for you to send me a pre-approval letter? Because the sellers do ask that anyone who looks at the property be pre-approved. Can you send that to me? Can you
Sure.
fax it over to me right now?
Sure.
Okay, great. Right. Now, in that case, I might show the property. All right? But 99% of the time, that's not how the call goes.
No, what if I did say, because I did get this situation, somebody had cash.
Yeah.
He said, I'm not taking a mortgage out, I have cash.
Sure.
Somebody had left him some money.
Yes.
So what if I said, no, I don't have a pre-approval letter, I have cash, I want to buy it outright?
And they already know the property. They've seen it.
Well, they've
You know it.
driven by it.
They know they want that house.
No.
They want to see
Letter
it.
that
They want to see it. All right. You know, in some cases, you may just show the property.
Okay.
But I'm saying, listen, feel me when I'm saying this.
I know what
Everything
you're
I tell
saying,
you,
and
you can always come up with an exception.
Right.
But let's talk about the rule. 99% of the time, let's role play back to the information about the house.
Okay.
What else do you want to know about the property?
How much land is there?
7,000 square feet of land. How do you feel about that?
It's kind of small.
Kind of small? Okay. Small enough to the point where you wouldn't want to see the property still?
No,
or
I
you-
still want to see
Okay.
it. I really
What else do you want to
to
know
see
about the
some.
house?
That's it.
Anything else?
No.
How about a basement? Is a basement important?
Not really.
No?
I spent a lot of time in the basement.
No? Okay. How about a garage or a fireplace?
Oh, I need a garage.
Your garage doesn't have a garage.
But I've been buying
My
it.
husband's a carpenter.
Yeah, right.
Oh, she thought that was part of the house and they
No, but I've
converted,
seen the garage.
and they made it into
You're
a
thinking
bedroom.
You're thinking of the wrong house.
Let me
I
ask you a
drove
question.
by it. I know it has
Right.
a garage. And
All
like
right.
in the yard isn't that small because I've seen it.
Okay. Again, I would probably show you the property,
Okay.
but you're not being the typical buyer with me right now. The
Well,
typical
you know,
buyer
you'd be
would.
surprised.
I'm thinking of
not
calls that
surprised. I've done this for
I'm
years.
thinking of calls that I've gotten when I've
Yes.
done floor duty. Most
Yes.
people have seen the house,
All right.
they want to see it, they live down the street. You know, I've gotten all these,
All right.
everything that I've said to you. I really have
My
had
parents
examples
lived in the
of people.
neighborhood.
I
Time
mean,
out.
yeah,
Time out. Let me get back in control of the seminar. here's how it works. If they say to you, yes, okay, you've got cash, your husband's a carpenter, you know the house, you like it, you love it, you know the neighborhood, you definitely want to move in. By the way, 99% of the buyers don't call and say those things. But if they did, if they had that exception, say, no problem. All I need you to do is come into my office. We have to go over some paperwork. I'll give you some more information on the property, and we'll head out to the property from here.
Okay.
That's
And
what
if they
Veterans
said no,
Community-
you would say no problem and show it to them as the last
No.
resort, or you would
No.
say no, you have to.
No.
Listen,
What would
hold
you
on.
say?
I'm a very busy agent. I sell 40 homes a year. I don't have time to work with people who aren't going to do it my way.
But what would you say to them? If
I
you
would
said,
simply
"I
say,
need
well,
you to
this
come
is how I
down
work. I need you to come into my office. Anytime I've ever done that, no one has ever said no to me. Ever.
Really?
Ever, ever, ever.
John,
Again,
wouldn't you at that
Yes.
point possibly say, okay, you know, I don't know in Chicopee, but in Wilbraham, I'm learning we have someone sitting behind us and just say, okay, hey, you want 20%? You want to pay
Yeah,
me
you
20%
could refer it to
and
another
pass it
agent
over
on
to
the-
somebody.
Listen, when I'm
If you
sharing
wanna
with
feel
you,
in
when
control.
I'm sharing with you a top producer habits,
Okay.
this is not average agent stuff that I'm sharing with you. You didn't come here to be average. You didn't come to this session to learn how to be average. You came here to be above average and learn how to do things more. Here's what typically happens. I'll say, you know, she'll say, does it have a basement? I'll say, no, it's a slab. And then the buyer will say, what?
Oh,
Oh,
not
yeah,
a slab.
not good. And then I would say this, aren't you glad I didn't take you over and show you the house? And what would they say?
yeah.
Yes, I'm glad.
Now
Let me do this for you. Let me do this. To save you time, because time is important, here's what I'm going to do for you. All I need you to do is stop by my office. We'll sit down together. We'll have a cup of coffee. We'll look on our computer system that we have right here in the office, and I'll narrow down for you all the homes that really meet your needs. And instead of going out and looking at one property with this realtor, and one property with that realtor, and calling on this ad, and calling all that ad, because all the ads that you're looking for on the paper are all in my computer. All of them. We'll go in, we'll enter the criteria, we'll come up with a list of 3 or 4 properties, and you can do anything you want with that list. You can take it home with you. We can set up appointments to go look at those properties, and I can also give you some good advice on how to properly buy a home in this market. Would you be available either Friday, or would Saturday morning be better for you? That's how it would normally go. And guess what? Some buyers will say what?
Yes or no?
Some buyers will say, yeah, I'll meet you there. Some buyers will say, yeah, you know what, I just want to see the property. And I would say, no problem. Susie, average agent, would you like to show a property today?
Well, that's what you would do. You
And
would
I'd ask
say,
her for a 25% referral fee if she got lucky. I'm not expecting that money, because that buyer can't be controlled. Listen, if I owned a pit bull and I couldn't control it, I wouldn't want to own it, and I wouldn't want to put it in my car or my house or in my office. I wouldn't want that pet. You follow me? I don't want that buyer. That buyer is out of control.
Okay.
And
So
it
you
can't
would put
be
him on
worked
hold
with.
and refer him to somebody else in the office.
But how would you professionally tell that client what you're doing?
I would say,
This
no
is
problem.
how
I'm going to
I do
refer you. Listen, no problem. I'm going to refer you to an agent or office who can accommodate you.
Okay.
Yeah, I can't
That's
go
good.
right now.
Yeah, I wouldn't even. I'm gonna refer you to someone. They don't even know who I am. They don't know my name. They don't know anything about me.
Okay.
And more importantly, I don't really care, because
I
I'm
don't
going.
care to you.
Now feel this. The reason why some of you care too much about this is that you're not going into the office every morning at 8:30 and making calls to make appointments to get listings. That's why you're so scared to lose that buyer, that you're going to do everything and anything you possibly can to latch onto them. I'm trying to bring you to a higher level of awareness of why you're doing what you're doing. And once you recognize that it's the fear of loss that motivates people 10 times greater than the reward of gain. So what you're doing is normal, it's natural. You know, listen, there are a lot of intelligent, you all got your real estate license, so I know you're smart, you know, but it's the fear of loss, it's the emotion that's working on you that's causing you to do things that are ineffective in this market that will not make you any money. And that is why, even though people have the talent, the skill, the ability to be great salespeople, they have the knowledge, they know everything there is to know about real estate, rules, laws, and practices, how to fill out all the forms, and they're not making money in real estate because they're not in control and they're refusing to do the action items that will get them in control of real estate. You follow me? Okay, now,
What about something where you were working, was it an area that was just a certain area? And then that would be comfortable. If we only had, let's say, Long Meadow, I mean, that would be easy, they'd all come to the office. But now
Yes.
we're getting calls from Amherst and
yes,
South Hadley and all that.
Chicopee.
And they don't, and where they're gonna go and see is halfway or in their area. They don't want to come here for us to go back there.
right.
Like what she said, and
Right.
it's true, it happens.
And you could say to them, listen, we have an office in Chicopee, I'll meet you there. Or we have an office in Wilbraham, I'll meet you there. Or you could say to them,
But in
I'll-
Agawam, no, we won't
No.
have no
No.
office there.
right, right. So, again, if you want to see the property, we're actually working on putting a boutique office in there, so you will be able to meet with them very soon, probably in a month. As soon as I find a space, we'll have a place where you can actually go and meet them there, okay? And so you will have a place to meet them for that purpose, on the other side of the river, as they like to say around here, okay?
River, yeah.
So that will happen, but it's not today, right? So we're working very as fast as we can. So now we have, again, you know what? You have to make a choice as an agent. I've given you the information, and you now that you have it, it's up to you to do with it what you want. Okay? I'm telling you what I would do, but also keep in mind the reason why you're doing it, why you're afraid to ask them to come to you. You're afraid to put them out of their way, but feel this. Now, try to keep this in mind. People are driving an hour at a time to go out and get their teeth cleaned, their hair done, and they're leaving work to do it. But when it comes to buying the biggest investment of their life, they're not doing those things. And do you know why they're not going to real estate agents' offices? And do you know why they're not leaving work to go look at the biggest investment of their life?
We're not.
But they'll do it for their hair because agents will absolutely agree to be abused. That's why.
Yes, you're right.
You're right.
That's
So I
why.
think the
Because
premier
we let them
service-
do it.
The
Yeah.
premier service,
Premier
won't you
service,
go
if you-
above and beyond what other agents would do for
But
these
it doesn't
people?
say to run around and waste your
Doesn't
time.
say
Right. Now, this is a
That's
great
the
point.
bottom line.
Suzanne brings up a great point. So, you talk about premier service, and that's another. Look, I'm gonna and thank you so much for bringing it up because I know other people are thinking that. And absolutely, and I really appreciate it. And those of you who are watching this DVD are thinking this as well. And here's the reality of it: is that for me to give a buyer great service, I need to be in control. It's not in their best interest for me to go out and randomly show them a home that they think they want to buy. What's in their best interest is for me to sit them in my office, explain buyer agency to them. That's giving them great service. Explain what a home warranty will do for them. Sit them in front of the computer and save their time by showing them three or four homes that meet their needs rather than wasting their time going out and showing them homes that don't meet their needs. That's giving premier service. So what you have to do is change your mindset, change your mind about what is good service. And if you notice, everything that I did that's good for me is also good for who? Good for the buyer, right? And it's good for you too, right? Absolutely. Number 3, yes.
Can I ask you a question how you would have, this came up twice this past year and it never had before. 2 buyers I worked with said to me, we will only work with the listing agent. I never came across
We've
that
heard that before.
Would you go into court without an attorney?
That's a good one. I like
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
Why would you only work with the listing agent who owes their loyalty to the seller? Would you go into a courtroom without your own attorney? Take me, I'll be your attorney, you know?
Right.
But no, they were insistent.
Yeah.
They're learning that on the.
Yes. So to answer your question, if I work with a buyer and said, I'm only going to work with the listing agent, and I would just say, no problem.
Yeah.
If you see any of my listings that you'd like to buy, you have my number, give me a call. And then I use this famous word that I always say in my mind. Next. And again, you're not going to, follow me on this, you have to adopt this whole thing has to come together for you. You're not going to care if you have enough leads. If you're doing this and you have enough leads, you don't care if a listing won't reduce their price. If you have one listing and they won't reduce the price, you are freaking out right now because you know it's not going to sell. But if you have 10 listings, right, well, don't settle anymore, right? You can't. Hey, settling equals 0 in your bank account in this market, right?
Yes.
But if you have 10 listings and one won't reduce, no problem.
Right.
I've got 5 others that'll sell without even doing anything. I know they'll sell. And I'm not worried about it because I did this. I made calls to get appointments to get listings. Okay? Now, number 3, sell in-house inventory. I know what you're thinking, but we don't have what they're looking for, right? Let me ask you this question. For 8 out of 10 buyers that you have, or that you've worked with, have they always bought exactly what they thought they were going to be interested in?
Never.
No.
Never.
Everyone's shaking their head. It's unanimous. Everyone's saying no. They never. People called you on a condo that had 2 bedrooms. They ended up buying a 4-bedroom colonial, right?
Right.
Buyers
Or vice
and
versa,
liars.
right?
They don't mean to be.
They don't. Right. It's so they don't always buy what they're looking for. So when you say to me, "Well, we don't have what they want," well, you don't know what they want yet. You know, if they're calling on that property. Now, in regard to selling in-house inventory, I'd like to add something else. If any sale is going to fall through, it's when it's a co-broke sale. If any offer is going to be rejected, it's when it's a co-broke listing. When you work in-house inventory, you close more of them, you close them quicker, you have more control, and you spend less time. So everyone's like, yep, that's true, that's true. So when you're working with another agent in your office, another agent in your company, the communication gap closes, and now you have that open and honest communication, things just get done. They're a lot smoother. So if work on selling in-house inventory, it will help you make more money per hour in your pocket. Yes?
In answer to Barbara's question, that's exactly why they want to work with the listing agent. Because they lose the deal.
Right. You know what? And you know what? It's interesting is that they haven't met a good agent yet that can work with them as a buyer's agent. They don't trust agents yet. They haven't met a good one yet that's a buyer's agent. The number one can properly convince them of the benefits of buyer's agency, which is what Bill was leading them into a dialogue, into a conversation. That now they've got Bill's ear. They want to know more. Like, why are you saying that to us? And he's going to be able to take the literally, honest to God, 30 to 45 minutes it takes to properly explain to a buyer why they should list with you as a buyer. You see, what blows my mind about the real estate industry forever is, I mean, in 1991, I was working with buyers with a $250 retainer that they would write a check and give to me. They would sign a contract saying they were exclusively going to work with me, and they'd write a check for $250, and they'd get the money back after they bought a house. If they didn't buy a house, I kept the money. I was very clear about that. Now hold on to this thought for a minute. This was, how many years ago? It was 1991. How many years ago was that?
17. Yeah.
17 years ago. So, you know, I was doing it then. Now, why would a buyer do that, you're thinking? And a lot of them did it. You know why? Because of this fact. I learned very early on in my career in real estate, because I didn't know any better. Who here is new in the business? Raise your hand. You have a huge advantage. You know why? Because you don't know any better. You don't have any bad habits or any things that you've adopted mentally. Here's what I learned. It didn't make sense to me that my manager and everyone in my office would spend 4 hours of time traveling, visiting a listing twice, preparing the CMA, driving back, presenting the CMA, sometimes spending how many hours when you get a listing lead do you spend in travel, preparation, patting the dog, saying hi to the kids, looking at the outside of the property, listening to the seller talk about their heavy-duty nails and their extra strong beams that they had put in the basement? How many hours does it add up?
16 to 20 hours.
16 to 20 hours? What are some other people? How many hours you spend? Maybe 6 hours?
Yeah.
4 hours at the very least, right?
Yeah.
But yet, and you'll do all that because maybe you'll get the listing. Maybe you'll get it priced right. And maybe after you get the listing and you price it, maybe it will sell in this buyer's market. But yet when we meet a buyer, we don't want to spend any time with them. We're going to rush right off and show them the house that they called in on. But can't you make just as much money working with a buyer as you can selling a listing if the sides are equal, right? So what was confusing to me is why aren't agents taking the time to list the buyer? Because I figured out very early on is that if it's a 2.5% or 3% co-broke, if a buyer buys a house and if I list a property and someone else sells it, which there was probably a 95% chance that will happen, I'll make the same amount of what? Money. And so I only worked with the buyers that would cut the check. And here's the deal. Because I took the time, energy, and effort, the 45 minutes to an hour, explaining to them what agency was and what a buyer agent was and all the benefits to them, they finally met a good agent who was telling them the truth about agency. They met an agent who cared enough to spend the time to educate them. I was giving them a little mini seminar in my office. And they appreciated that, and they never met anyone like that before. And they in their mind, they thought, how can I get this agent to work for me? I want this agent. And I would show them how they could work for me. Anyone who said no to the $250, guess what I did?
Next.
I didn't work with them. They didn't sign an agreement. I didn't work with them. And I would say, okay, I respect your decision. That's totally fine. They rejected me. They didn't like what I had to offer. And I then, in turn, rejected them and said, no problem. An average agent would have said, okay, no problem. Let's go look at houses anyway. And if you change your mind. And while they're doing that, you're not spending time trying to close another buyer to sign a buyer agency contract because you're too busy out showing the buyer that didn't agree to work your way and for you to be in control. You're out of control. Okay? And so I worked with these buyers. Some bought houses, some didn't. So I kept $250. I paid for my gas, you know. and there was only one actually buyer that I knew of that I kept the $250. The others bought. You know why? Not everybody
had their $250.
Well, you know,
They were committed.
The fear of loss. Here's the thing. You know what? They were serious about buying a home. That's the bottom line, gang. And here's what I did. The system that I put in place by coming to my office, it helped me very, very quickly to determine who was serious about buying and who wasn't. That's all.
And it would have eliminated Barbara's problem with the listing agent only. They would
Yep.
have, if you come into
Possibly.
our office, they would have said, well.
But they might not even come into the office, and that's okay too. Next. Right? Next.
That's good. Do so.
Okay, I'm going to ask you to make some side notes on this. This business in real estate is not easy, but it is simple. Okay? What I've shared with you today, I think you'll all agree, it's not easy what I shared with you. To do what it is that I told you to do is not easy, but would you agree that it's simple, yes or no? Yes.
Yes.
Okay? Write this down if you would, please. This is the important part. I really need you to write this down and, I don't know, go back home and read it like 500 times. A certain activity causes a certain result. A certain activity creates a certain result. Think about the activities that you're doing now and look at the results you're getting. Are you happy with that? If you're not, you need to change your activity. A certain activity causes a certain result. And I've given you some different activities that you can focus on. Next thing I want you to write down, very, very important. My inventory will determine my income level. My inventory will determine my income level. Here's what I fear, gang. I fear that some agents in this business have been, always have been, and continue to be what I would call a buyer's agent. I don't like listings. I only like to work with buyers. Here's the problem. What system do you have in place to attract these buyers to you? And let me ask you a question. Is that system going to last forever after you've heard about the real estate trends in the industry and where this is all going? No. Where 85% of the people are starting to look for homes online. And while they're looking online, guess who they're going to call? The listing agent. Mm-hmm. Yeah. You know? And they're not calling the front desk. You know, I hear people say to me, in another office, they said, I remember we used to have, you know, this magazine and all this print advertising. We were so busy, the phone was ringing off the hook so bad that we had two people on the desk at the same time. And, you know, and this is like in West, I heard the same thing in Eastern Mass, the exact same thing. And they think that, you know, since the company's not doing more print advertising, no, it didn't work that way. Before we reduced print advertising, and we're not the only ones, every company reduced print advertising. What first happened is that we found out that nobody was calling us. They stopped calling. The phones stopped ringing. And we thought, hey, we came up to this revelation, and not all of you are ready for this revelation yet. And here it is. You ready? This ain't working. You know? This ain't working anymore. They used to have to call you for everything and anything. You were the keepers of the information. And now the information is available to everybody, and every piece of information is available to them, except for what the co-broke fee is. But they want to know anything about that house, all they have to do is go online. They could even Google the address, and it would pop up in some real estate company's website somewhere. They don't need to call you when they drive by and see the sign to find out all the information. So my inventory will determine my income. The third thing I want you to write down. When I double my listing inventory, I will double my income. Some of you have to write this. When I have a listing inventory, I will have an income. Right? In fact, why don't you write that one down? When I have a listing inventory, I will have an income. Listen, if you find a buyer now and it's like a referral or something else, you're just getting lucky. I'll be honest with you. It's not a system in place. If you're waiting for your friends and family to refer people to you, guess what? That's going to run out soon, eventually. Or it's not going to provide you enough transactions to really make the kind of income that you want to make. You can't depend on it. See, you can't depend on anybody else if you're an independent contractor. You go into business for yourself, you can't depend on anyone else. You can't go open up a store, put out a sign, and depend on people referring their friends to your store that you're going to make an income from that. You have to go out and take action. You have to go out and market yourself. The best way to market yourself as a real estate agent, some people come to me and say, John, I want to put an ad in the paper, I want to advertise me. And I did that before. I spent thousands of dollars doing that for me. I remember walking into two different situations where when I was advertising, I had television ads, I had my face was on shopping carts all over the town. I mean, I did all this stuff. I had put full-page ads in the newspaper of me. I had a picture of me in a classroom, and there were all these empty chairs all around me, and I'm just sitting there like this in the photo. And it was just a big one-page spread in the real estate magazine, and on the top of it, it said, John Miller in a class by himself.
That's pretty good.
Oh.
And everyone's like, oh, that's a good ad, that's great. Realtors called me up, laugh, and say, that was a good one. I'm like, thank you. I felt so great about it, right? Guess how many calls I got from it? Zero. Not going to do that ad again. So I figured I'll be a little more creative. I went out to a very well-known park. It's actually the oldest park in the country. It's called Elm Park. It's located in Worcester. And I had my real estate friends come with me. And they actually enjoyed this. They thought it was fun. And what I did is I leaned up against a tree like this, and they walked around with a rope, and they took the rope and they wrapped me up in the rope around this tree. And then I took my, I reached in my pocket, and they let one of my hands loose like this, and I put my cell phone up like this. And they took my picture, and I put a full-page ad in the real estate magazine, and it said, even when John's tied up, he's sure to follow up. Give John a call. Whoa, right? It got worse. It got worse. You know, the third month after this didn't work, I said, I'm not going to give up, because guess who kept telling me and encouraging me to do this? The people who sell the advertising. Right. They said, John, these are great. You got to do more. I'm like, oh, okay. So I ran out of ideas. So what I did is I took a director's chair. You know what the director's chair looked like, right?
Yeah.
And I just took a picture of this empty chair with my company name. I put my company name in the back of the chair, and I took a picture of the chair. And I put full-page ad, real estate magazine, with an empty chair. Imagine looking at houses, and you flip out, and you see this picture of an empty chair. And on the bottom of the ad, it says, because you're giving all your business to John Miller, he's way too busy to pose for pictures this month. Thank you for your support. Blah, blah.
Oh.
Guess how many people called? Zero. So when people say to me, now feel this, when people say to me, John, I want to advertise myself, go ahead, laugh. It doesn't work. The best way to advertise yourself is to go out and get a what? Get a listing. You know the best way to market yourself, the best way to get recognition for yourself is to have a name rider on a sign and then have it say sold. That's your best marketing you could ever have, is to get that listing and get it sold. So, let's go to the next page, career building formula. Do you have that on your next page, by the way? All right, career building formula. Ready? Number one, build your inventory. Now, how do you build your inventory, everyone? Look up here for a second.
Calls, appointments,
Listings.
You got it. Awesome. Next part of the career building formula. If you want to build your career or start your career. Number two, market and sell your inventory. It's not easy, but it's simple. Number three, not easy, but it's simple. Replace your sold inventory.
If you have it.
If you have it. If not, you need to get one, right?
Number one.
Okay, again, how many people are new to real estate? Raise your hand. Can I give you some advice? Can I?
You know?
Get out of real
Why
estate.
you can.
Get out of real estate. Yeah. Here's what I mean by that, though. Let me clarify what I mean by get out of real estate. I want to go to the Board of Registration. I want to eliminate real estate licenses, and I want to replace them with listing permits. So what I'm saying is get out of the real estate industry and get into the listing industry. Get into the listing business. Get out of real estate and get into listing. If you were mine, if you worked for me, okay,
We do.
and you were mine, well, you don't.
No.
I mean, you're an independent contractor, right? If you were my employee, here's what I would tell you to do, or you'd be fired. Go on listing appointments, and that's all I want you to do. Within 4 months, you're going to start out really crappy. You're going to have objections. You're not going to know how to handle them. You're going to have to go back to me or your manager, and you're going to have to say, you know, they asked to cut the commission. I don't know what to say. You're going to have to learn some skills. But if all you did was go on listing appointments, and that's the best way to learn these things is to just go out there and do it, right? And go to training, right? If all you did was go on listing appointments, in 4 months you would have an inventory. And then you would have an income, and then you would be able to stay in this business. You'd be able to afford to stay in this business. When people fail out of real estate, it's always because they blame everything else. Sometimes they blame the market, they blame the rates, they blame the office, they blame the company, they blame the manager, they blame advertising, they blame the internet, they blame other agents, they blame the economy, they blame the competition, blame, blame, blame. And you know, what is it? What is it that Zig Ziglar says? Look at this. Zig Ziglar says, whenever one finger's pointing out at the problem, there are always 3 more pointing at the real source. Right? Think about that. The biggest problem in real estate, gang, is that everything is optional. That is why you have to stay in training and go to training classes for the rest of your life. You follow me? It's an advantage and it's also a disadvantage. When I give career seminars, here's what I tell people. I say, people want to know what are the pros and cons to real estate. And I get on the board and I show them all the pros and I show them all the cons. And I put in, under the pros, I put flexibility. You have flexibility when you're in the industry. What are the disadvantages? Well, it begins with FL, just like the other one is, and the end of the word ends with Xability. Yes, flexibility. That's that's a disadvantage of real estate. You have to be tremendously disciplined to come to this class and then hear this information and then go back to your Saturday morning, go through the do not call list, get a list of calls, make the appointments, and go out on listings. And make 5 listing appointments for the week. Now, it's time for some interaction. We're going to spend a few minutes doing some interaction. Now, what I want you to do is I want you to look at your notes. Look at your notes for a second and think about a question you'd like to ask the mentor group. This is called Ask Your Mentor, where what you're going to do is you're going to ask the question to the group, and whoever wants to volunteer to answer that question can answer that question. So, and then each person will, be able to ask a question. And what I'd like you to do is focus your question around these areas: the weekly success formula. Take a look at that. Your career building formula, and Saturday morning prospecting routine. So let's take a minute to do a little bit of. So who's going to ask the first question? Yes, Bill.
I'm going to go back to the question I asked at the beginning.
Yes.
Qualify what you mean by a saleable property.
Okay. I'll give you my answer. Because we're in interaction, ask the mentor method. I'm going to ask you, what do you think? What we mean when we say a saleable listing?
Price right.
Price.
Price right.
Great shape.
Condition.
In great shape. Okay. Yes.
Not necessary.
Location.
Curb. Yep.
I think the seller has to be motivated.
Sellers motivated. Yes. Yep. And by the way, these are all the things that I would say to answer. They are answering your question. What else?
Location, actually.
Saleable listing, location. Now, here's something to hold on to. Now, some listings are not in a good location and they're not in good condition, but they still sell. Why do they sell?
Price.
Because they're priced right.
Price.
I like to joke around, and some of you have heard me say this before, is that, well, if it's in a bad, agents say to me, my listing's not selling, John, what can I do? Can we please put another ad in Sunday because it's not selling? And I say, well, why isn't it selling? The location. Oh, well, I got an idea. Let's not put an ad on the paper. Let's move the house. Well, we can't move the house. Oh, okay. Some people come to me and say, John, I've got a listing, it's not selling. I don't know what to do to advise them. Can I put another ad in the paper? Another ad, another ad, another ad. Because that's what the seller thinks is going to get the property sold. In reality, that's not the truth. We need to educate them on that too. And so I said, why isn't it selling? And they say, well, because it's in bad condition. I said, great, fix it up. Well, the seller doesn't want to spend the money to do that. Well, then they need to adjust the what?
Price.
A saleable listing, in general, it's priced right. It's got to be priced right. Yes.
I disagree.
Okay, that's great. Oh, good. Tell us. Hey, how about this? Ready? Listen to this. No problem. Go right ahead.
Well, it's not necessarily the price. It
Okay.
is the perceived value of the buyers of that property.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because if you have a
That's
price
That's a good
at
point.
at 200 in Wilbraham, everyone's going to go, oh, that's the price. That house is going to sell really fast. What ends up happening is buyers perceive that as a value. They come in, and a lot of times that may even go over asking price.
Absolutely, it can happen. Yeah. So we might not be accurate. The buyers are the ones who determine the value. Is what you're saying, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
it has
absolutely.
to show
Very good
some
point.
value to the buyers out there. And yes, price does attract them, but
Yes.
not necessarily is it going to sell the property.
Yeah, good point. Very good point. It not only has to attract, but it has to sell. So then, if it's not selling, if it's a price that's attractive, right? That's what I hear you saying, and it's attracting people, and they're still not buying it. Like here, this is a symptom that agents will come to me and they say this. It's happened this week. Agents say, I'm getting tons of showings, John. Getting tons of showings, but it's not selling. What's the problem with the house?
Buyer's price too high still.
It's still priced too high.
Still
Right.
I was gonna say, I think it still comes down to price then.
Yes.
Yeah, it does.
Absolutely. You're absolutely correct. Not bad for a new person. No, you're good. Yeah. But I mean, that's an advantage of being new. Yeah. But it makes sense. Thank you. That's awesome. Yes.
It's like I heard before, if buyers look and don't buy, they think it's too high. If an agent doesn't show it, then both buyer and seller thinks it's too high, or buyer and agent thinks it's too high.
I like that. That's a good rule of thumb. I like that. I've never heard that before, but that makes a lot of sense. That's great. Thank you. That's great. Yes, Suzanne.
What would you do if, because I'm
That's
going
your
on
new
a
name now.
listing presentation next month, and I know the owner, it's an expired listing. He has a place on the lake, so it's quite a distance for me to get back and forth
Sure.
there. A couple years ago, it probably would have sold for what it's listed. He's very emotionally attached to the house.
Of course.
So, you know, he does not want to touch the price. As a matter of fact, the thing he keeps talking about is how the other agent wanted to touch the price, and the reason it didn't sell was that agent's fault. And I mean, I think there are things that could have been done, like advertising in certain publications, really, you know,
Yes.
to market the people who could afford this. And I mean, it's not a family place; it's somebody, an executive looking for a second home or
Sure.
something. But I just don't know if
Here's what you
it's
do.
worth it, because I know.
Here's my advice. Take the listing, but get a 3-year listing contract. But I'm being
I don't
serious.
know if he would. Yeah.
Well, but here's my point. Do you want to list the property? You don't. You don't want to list the property and not have it sell. And
Right.
here's what I would say to him. If you know the person, have a real heart to heart and say, listen, I don't want to be that agent that lets you down. Our friendship is way too
Well,
important
I'm
to us.
not really good friends with him. I know
All right,
him through
well.
my parents, but yeah.
All right, then
Right,
maybe you
but-
wouldn't say
Or
it.
they
But
know.
maybe you'd
Right.
say, then you can say this.
Yeah, I
Do
wouldn't
an
want to
offshoot
let you
of that.
down.
Listen, I don't really want to be the agent that lets you down.
Uh-huh.
Here's what the value of the property is. Because it's a specific vacation type property on the water, it's going to take a lot longer to sell than an average home. By the way, the average days in market in Hampden County right now is 9 months. And some of you are still out there taking 6-month listing agreements. Yeah, go to Trend Graphics. Yeah, go to Trend Graphics and do Hampden County and look at days on market.
The average?
Yes. In December of '07, average days on market went up to 8 months for inventory. 9 months. 9 months for inventory.
And
So, you know what? And you're still out there taking 6-month listing agreements? Wow. The reason why is that you're afraid that the seller's not going to agree to that, but you haven't given them the right information, and you don't have the right dialogue, you don't have the right words yet. So what you do is you go to a Trend Graphics and say, by the way, and your listing contract says 12 months, and they go, 12 months? Well, let me share with you some information, and once I do it, you'll probably change your mind about how you feel about a 12-month listing agreement. Before, we used to take 6-month listing agreements, but that's when we knew we'd get the property sold within a 4 to 5 month time period. But now, based on the market and based on what's happening in the market, and based on these trends, and by the way, never tell anybody something you can what?
Not
Go
sure.
on.
Show them, right? A picture's worth 1,000 what?
Words.
No, dollars. All right, and you show them the trend graphics report, and they go, "Wow!" Like you just said to me, you said, "Wow, is that true?" Like you like this. And so when if I had it in front of me, I could show you to convince you. But right now, you're
Yeah,
not
I
sure.
know, but-
So what I would do, I'd show you the trend graphics report as the seller. I'd show them the days on market, and I would say, and I would use this dialogue. You ready? See, words are extremely important. If you were at last week's session, we talked about the secret to success in real estate, and the secret is knowing what to say, knowing the dialogues. That was the secret. And so I would use the cross the desert dialogue, and I would say something like this to sell. If it takes 9 months to get an average property sold in this marketplace, and that's if depending on where you want to price it. If you price it a little higher than the market analysis says, it could take 18 to 24 months to get the property sold. And essentially, by you asking me to take a 6-month listing agreement, what you're asking me to do is you're asking me to get in a Jeep and go across the desert. And you know that it's going to take a full tank of gas to cross the desert. And you only want to give me a half a tank? I don't want to get in the car and head out into that journey if I know I'm going to end up stranded in the middle of the desert, and that's what you're going to do to me with a 6-month listing agreement. Let me ask you this. Give me the fuel that I need to get across the desert, a 12-month listing agreement, and I'll get your home sold for you. Now, keep in mind, the sooner it sells, the sooner I make money, and the more money it sells for, the more money I make. I'm motivated to get it sold, but you have to give me the fuel that it's going to take in this market to get it sold for you.
Just one more question.
Yes.
As a new agent, and his other agent was very experienced, but one of the complaints he had about him is he didn't keep in communication. He probably
Yes.
knew it wasn't going to sell and he
Right.
wasn't going
He
to
was
budge, so he
embarrassed.
wasn't,
Pricing too high.
wasting his
Yes.
time calling him. So, I know one of the things that I would let him know is that the communication, I would give him a weekly update or whatever. Other than that, being a new agent against these very experienced agents,
Yep. Here's
how
what
do you sell
described.
yourself when you don't really have the
Um,
experience?
All right. May I answer that?
Yeah.
Yes. Can I tell you what I would do? Okay. What I would say is, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, there's no such thing in real estate as a new agent versus an experienced agent. In real estate, we don't have new and experienced. In real estate, we have active versus inactive real estate agents. The last
Can I
agent
email
you
you
hired.
for that one?
Yes.
Okay.
Let me finish. I'm not even done yet. You're already signing my contract.
I like that one.
All right. She's easy, right? Good. I want to list your house, right? The last agent you hired was an experienced agent, but wasn't active. And what happened to the results? There are 2 things that sell a property: price and promotion. They both begin with the letter P. Now, you have to do your job and price it right, and I have to do my job and promote it. Because if you price it right and no one knows about it, no one's going to buy it. But all the promotion in the world will not sell an overpriced listing. So keep in mind, we have to work together. So here's what I'm going to do to promote your property as an active agent versus an inactive agent. All the experience in the world isn't going to sell your house. Activity is going to sell your house.
That's good. Can you email that to me?
Email me, ask me for it, and it will remind me to email it to you. Yes.
Okay, so what do I say?
Email me.
How will you
new
know
versus
it's good?
experienced.
Okay.
Just put that in the
Okay.
subject bar, and I'll know what to do. Yes.
I have a question.
Gina.
I've been here 3.5 years, 4 years, something like that. So I've seen the real great time when all I had to do was sign the paper and the house was gone.
Sure.
So you just said to me that the house is on the market for 9 months.
Yes.
Okay, so I went out, made a listing appointment, looked at the property, priced it fair,
Yes.
felt that we were all set.
Yes.
Okay, but now you're telling me it's gonna be on the market for 9 months.
Mhm.
In 9 months' time, we may have some price adjustments
Yes.
because the market's fluctuations.
Exactly.
Not so much that it wasn't priced right
To begin with.
5 months ago when we're into
Right.
the 5th or 6th
There
month
are
of
a
a
couple.
listing.
There are a couple of words that I picked up on that you said. I want to pick
Yeah.
on a little bit of what you're saying because I'm hearing something in my mind. Number one is that I didn't say that your house is going to take 9 months to sell. I said this is the average days on market.
Yeah.
Your home can sell in 30 days if you price it right. The other thing I heard you say is that you priced it right, but it didn't sell in 5 months. But the reality is if you priced it right, it would have sold within the first 30 days. So what I would say, here's what I would say to the seller. It's just semantic, it's words, but
Yeah.
they have different meanings to me than they do to you. And they would have different meanings to the seller. So what I would say to the seller, use different words. And by the way, you know, some of you think.
But I have to stop there
Sure,
before you
yeah,
go on to that,
absolutely,
because I
please.
really believe
Yes,
that there, as agents, we are out there trying to price these houses correct.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And I
it's
walk
still-
into a meeting, and last Thursday I walked in, or this past Thursday, sat in the meeting and listened to the people.
Yes,
No phone calls,
yes,
no activity.
right,
I priced this house right. Honestly believe that was priced correctly.
right.
What am I not doing right
Maybe it's the
to
condition.
get the marketing
Well,
of that
here's-
house?
let me
Yeah,
answer
but
your
we're not
question.
getting the phone
Here's-
calls. We're not,
here's
and
the
you
question.
telling me put it out on the internet. I got it out on the
I
internet.
understand.
I put the pictures out. When
But
it
there-
snowed, I went and I took the snow pictures.
Here's what's happening. Let's say you're the seller, okay, and I'm
Mhm.
tired. So listen, you know, I did all the stuff. It's still not selling. Well, listen, look how much inventory we have. Buyers have so much to choose from that what they're doing, here's the reality of it. People are still buying houses. But the problem is there are more houses to choose from. And what's happening is that because they have more to choose from, they might not even get to see your house. They might not have to see your house before they find the house that they like and that they want. And more importantly, so what do we have to do to be one of those houses that the buyer sees first and buys? Keeping it lower and lower and lower. See, the problem is, and this is, we talked about this at our last sale
we
meeting.
just keep saying. Just keep lowering the price, lowering the price, lowering the price. Where's the marketing coming in? What are we marketing?
But let me back up.
Marketing
Let me-
lower
let me-
prices?
Let me answer your question. No, you have a marketing plan that you're going to, see, part of this is that
I guess
you
that's
don't-
what I'm asking. Give me a marketing
I'm
plan.
trying to tell you.
Okay.
Here's the deal. There are a lot of components to what we're talking about. We only touched on one today. But to answer your full-blown question, here's the detail. You have to have a marketing. When I meet with the seller, I'm going to show them. I used to call it a 30-day marketing plan. And I would say, I'm going to do all these things in the first 30 days that the home's going to be on the market. I would do everything, like you said. If in the first 30 days we don't get any showings or offers, I know that the prices, you're not going to get full price for your property in this market. We'll have to make an adjustment. So this is the dialogue that I have before I even list the house with them. You follow me? So now, I'm going to give it my best guess for the pricing on the market, and because I want to get you the most amount of money, and I'm going to suggest we price it in this range. And they agree and they price it in the range, and it still doesn't sell. And I go back and I say, listen, we gave it our best guess. There are two things that sell a home, price and promotion. As you can see from my 30-day marketing plan, I've implemented every single thing on this marketing plan that anybody could ever do to sell a house, and it still isn't selling. So therefore, it can only be the what?
Price.
So at this point, like I said, the day when we met, before you even listed your house with me, I'd have to come back in 30 to 45 days and ask you for an adjustment of price if you really want to get your home sold quickly. Some people will say, Gina, I'm in no hurry. And say, that's fine, I can wait forever. I'm going to be in real estate forever. I can wait too.
I don't want to be in real estate.
But I'm going to need a longer listing contract. All right? I mean, it's all, price and time are related together. They have to be together.
The question's not getting answered
Okay.
because I don't want to keep reducing the price. I don't want to put in print because you keep telling me don't put everything in print because that's no good. I'm putting it out on the internet
Yes.
and I'm taking the pictures. Where else am I supposed to take this to market it to sell the house?
Here's what if you are asking me that question,
I think
and
I'm asking that.
and I'm an agent and you're a seller.
No,
let's say.
I'm asking you, John, and I'm Gina,
All right.
the agent.
All right,
As an
Gina.
agent in your company,
Here's what I would say.
give me a marketing
If you
strategy
don't want-
I can use.
The marketing strategy is a marketing plan, which I can email you. I can email you a sample marketing plan. If you do all that and it doesn't work and the property doesn't get sold, you have to adjust the price in order to get it sold. Here's what I'm saying. There's no amount of marketing and there's no marketing technique ever in the world that will get an overpriced listing to sell.
But
And that's
I'm
what I
not-
explained to
I
your son.
honestly
And you keep
believe-
saying you don't want to lower the price.
No,
you say
I've
you
lowered
honestly
the price,
believe.
and I honestly believe that we've gone out there and we look at the market and
Yes.
we try to get it into the price range that it should be.
You might be wrong,
I'm
Gina.
comfortable.
You
I
might
be.
need to- you
It
might need to
be wrong,
reduce
but
the
I'm
price.
comfortable with the price that I feel that
But
it
buyers aren't
should
comfortable
be.
with it.
Right.
To buy it.
If it's
That's
not
the
selling-
problem.
And that's who,
You just said it
unless
earlier,
you're
Gina.
going to
You
buy the
said
house
the buyers,
yourself.
the buyers will determine
Yeah.
the value.
The
Yeah.
buyers
Not us.
determine the value,
Yeah.
but what I'm hearing
Yes.
is even in the meetings, I mean, I don't know who it was, I thought it was Angela standing there, does anybody have a buyer?
Yep.
Is her question. Do you have a buyer? If somebody calls on an appointment and someone says, yeah, I have a buyer, 20 agents are looking at you like, whoa,
Yeah.
yay for you. And that's what I'm trying to figure out. What are we not marketing that we're not getting the buyers into our office or something.
Yeah, Bill, did you want to answer it?
Yeah, I just wanted to say to you that I had a similar problem. I have a house that I think I priced appropriately. There's a little room, but I think it's pretty much on the money. And I wasn't getting any showings on the property. And what I did was I bit the bullet a little bit and paid the money to Realtor.com to get an enhanced listing and
Yeah.
move it up above where the bottom
And you
was.
started getting calls.
I
You
got
have to
calls.
get that
I
enhanced
started to
listing
get the
on
calls
yeah.
to get them.
You
And,
can't
and now
not
I'm
have
gonna
it.
back it up and say that's what Coldwell
Well, I have
Banker's
that.
doing with theirs, is they have every agent
Yes.
gets enhanced, has Realtor.com with enhanced listings.
On the list.
I had that in a listing that finally sold in December, and it was on for
Right.
over 9 months.
You're paid.
You know, the past 9 months, it was a year-long meadow, and it was, you know.
I wanted to hear it come out,
I
because
had
that's
the
when I was
enhanced
at the
sell.
other company. that's
Well,
what
I'm
they
just
had.
saying, the only difference that I did was move it from the regular down below
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
and
But
got it up on top.
but I did that, and I was still
It does more than that.
waiting. Look at me open house.
It does more than
She
that.
did the advanced, and listen, there are people at Coldwell Banker who still, look at Coldwell Banker, look at how many expired listings are coming out of that company.
Right,
I mean,
yeah.
look at the expired,
Yeah,
so
I mean,
just
it's-
because the
we're in a
advanced
period-
isn't gonna sell it. And sometimes, as I said to an agent last week in this office, I said, listen, maybe it is priced right, but maybe it's just gonna take the 9 months to get it sold.
Yeah.
And if the seller comes back to me and complains, I need to sell it now, I said, well, then you need to lower the price. And they said, well, I don't want to lower the price. I said, then you're going to have to wait some more time. If they come back to me and say, I need you to do another print ad, I said, look, that isn't what's going to sell the property. We'll still print advertise it. We're not getting away from it, but I'm just saying that I need to manage the expectations of the seller to let them know there are two things that sell the property. I'm proving to you that I'm doing everything. I did the enhanced listing. I did all this stuff. And it's still not selling, so it's not my fault. Don't blame it on me if it's not selling. It's the buyers are telling us that their value is not there. If it was, you'd be one of those homes that gets scooped up in 30 days.
I did 2 price reductions and immediately got good activity.
Yep.
Below what I thought it was these houses were worth.
Now thank you very much for saying that, but here's what's happening. We brought this up at our first sales meeting in January we had in this office, and the point was this. We looked at the market statistics and we determined that what's happening now, if prices are going down, right? Well, watch this. If prices are going down like this, right? And let's say we look at, January, February, March, April, May, okay? And we are in January now, right? And we do a market analysis on a property. We pull out comps. Where do we get those comps from?
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
We get them out here. Some agents are going back 6 months ago to determine their listing. They come up with I'm not saying this is Eugene, but what I'm saying with other agents
I'm
in
not
general.
going back more than a month, 2 months, and
Yeah,
I don't even have.
well, that's good.
I
But
have
even
few
if you're
sales
going-
to go with,
But feel this, you're going back in history. So if you go from,
and then you adjust it.
let's say it's like this, very gradual. Right, agents have to adjust it because just because your comps from December and November say that the property's worth $300,000, well, it was worth $300 then, maybe it's worth $295 today, and now 4 months go by and it's worth $285, but we priced it at $300. Based on the comps.
No, because that's not what I'm doing.
No, I didn't say
honestly
you, I'm
believe-
saying in
Well, yeah,
general.
but I'm trying to get this so that we get to where we're going.
Yeah.
When I did the property and I saw 300, 295, at 285 is coming back to February. Because you look at and you explain to them this is the percentage
Yes.
decreases. It has consistently
Of course.
decreased by
Yep.
5% for the last 3 months. Let's look at doing 6%.
Yes,
That's the speech. So that's what I told them.
yes.
And
Good.
then I said, I
Well,
went out
that's
and I
good.
put and I did all the little thingies you said, and I did the marketing, and I've
Yeah.
done all that, and honestly didn't get a call, and I really didn't.
But now hold on, hold on. Now you did all that stuff. You priced it what you thought was below market. But the properties that are selling in Hampden County, average days on market 9 months. So if you've only had the listing for 4 months, maybe you just need more time. But if they come back to you and they say, I just want to get it sold quicker, then you need to price it below fair market value to make it look like a real steal to the public so they rush out and buy it.
Okay, now I'm gonna blow all that theory, because I
Yes.
listed 2 properties in December, and they're both under contract and are gonna be selling in February.
So what did you
They
do?
did
Do the
the
same
exact-
thing?
I did the exact same thing that I did for the
Well, then you
other
have to look at the
properties,
house.
and that's why I'm
Yes,
trying to
the
figure
house
out.
itself needs something.
There's-
But 9 months,
Not
9 months,
attractive to the buyers for
Maybe
some
it
reason.
smells. Maybe
yeah,
I know,
and feel
this
this,
is mine.
9 months on the market consists of properties that sold in 30 days and properties that sold in 2 years.
yeah.
And so it averages to 9 months. You see what I'm saying? So that 9 months doesn't mean every house is gonna take 9 months to sell. Some are gonna sell in a week, some are gonna sell in a year or 2 years, and that's what's gonna come up with that average. Any other questions?
Yeah, that's 6 more to go.
All right, hey guys, thank you so much. You've been an awesome class. It was great. I had a lot of fun. I enjoyed it. Have a great day. Take
That's,
care.
yeah.
Oh, hold on, don't anybody leave.
Oh, hold
Hi,
on,
thank
the
you so much.
certificates, that's right.
I'm going to award you each a certificate for attending this class, so what you need to do is put your name. Here's what I want to ask you to do, please. Print your name on this page. Some people were giving their signatures and I couldn't read the names. So please print your name on this piece of paper. I'll pass it around, and we'll provide you with a certificate of attendance. You can use these certificates on your appointments and show your buyers and sellers that you're an active agent versus an inactive agent. And if you've been in the real estate industry for 20 or more years, you can show your sellers that, listen, I have a lot of experience in this business. I've been in this business for a long time. But it's not being experienced isn't good enough in this one, because you might be competing with another experienced agent in another office. And so what's your unique selling proposition? Well, you have 20 plus years of experience, and so does this agent. Who should I hire? Well, if you're running into that situation, you should hire the one that's actively involved in learning about what's going on in today's market, in today's marketplace, that can effectively get your home sold. Being experienced isn't good enough in today's market. You have to be experienced, and you have to be active, and you have to keep yourself sharp. Hey, I've got an accountant that's been in the accountant for 30 years, but hasn't been to an accounting seminar and hasn't been updated on the laws of accounting in 5 years. Am I going to be in trouble?
Yeah.
Absolutely, right? And use that analogy if you're an experienced agent and show them your certificate and say, here's what I'm doing. Here are the things that I'm learning about to help improve my skills in today's market. And listen, sellers will eat right out of your hands when they see that. They love that. They love to see that. Because they know they have to do that in their job too, and in their industries, and what they're doing and how they're doing it.
I recommend you change accountant, that's all.
Absolutely, right? Thank you. I can get a referral from you.
Listen, I want to ask, when you say you put your a certificate or whatever you want, in a book at Bravus, wherever, they gave us a book, which was very nice. It said Bravus on top. It was you just put them in, and it was like plastic things, and you slid them in all these plastics.
what a great idea.
So then when you went to your presentation,
I
But
like
now
that.
I left it, I gave the book back to another girl so she could have 2 books,
That's a great idea.
So
I
why
love
don't
it.
we put them in to
Well,
do we
personally,
have to-
if you have a listing presentation, what I used to do as an agent, I would have a listing presentation book that had those pages in it, and all I would do is every time I went to a seminar, I would add another plastic sheet and another page in.
So just to
into
get
an
any
existing
kind
listing.
of book that opens up like that, what do you call those in English?
Like a listing presentation book, a free reminder
Yes,
notebook, yes.
free binder,
Yeah.
yes.
I would typically add it to my existing listing presentation, than having a separate book, but I like the idea of having a separate book,
Yeah.
so it makes a bigger deal out of it, actually.
What he's saying is he's not gonna buy it though.
I would, if you wanted one, I'd get you one.
Sorry.
I'm not gonna get one for everyone in the office, because not everyone would use it.
Yeah,
But if someone came to me and they said, I'd like one of those, I'd buy it for you, sure. We'll go over to Staples right now, we'll get it, let's
And
go.
they told,
Get some lunch on the way.
they told us even to take the book and go
You
and
just talk
drop
about
it at
free
somebody's
reminder
house
for
and
your
say, keep
presentation.
that.
Oh, right,
When I'm
yeah.
gonna come for my listing,
Just
just
the
not to
binder,
look over my
just
She was saying
books
that
and my
Vegas had
blah,
one
blah,
that had
blah.
your name on it,
Pen too?
I like that.
Yes.
Awesome
for
idea.
the
I
company.
like that a lot.
It's just the binder
Thank you,
itself,
John.
though,
Yeah.
Thank
something
you.
nice.
Thanks,
See,
have a
I
Well, you
great day.
put the stuff in.
I want it pre-filled.
John, would you recommend
I
just
signed Angela and Barbara's name.
Would you
Can
recommend
make
just
sure
going
Angela's
back like
spelling
2
is
months
right?
when you do the market analysis?
Here's the problem with going back with
Thank
2 months, because we have such inactivity in our marketplace, is that you might not find any comps if you only go back 2
Look it out
months.
for
But
me.
if you go back 2 months more, and then they're still on
The
the
price
higher
is too high.
price.
So what you need to do is you need to look at the trends of what's going on in that town and how prices have, at what you can get from trend graphics.
She doesn't go by that.
And then what you do is you go through and you go into trend graphics and you make the adjustments of the percentage based on your market analysis.
There you go.
It's a little math involved, and even when you do all that, it's still an estimate. Even appraisers, when they do an appraisal on a property, it's an estimate. And,
Well, I know I wouldn't go back even 3 months. You know, I just try to find something sold at least.
but if you don't find, if you only find one comp in the 3-month or 4-month time frame, you do have to go back further in time.
I did.
Yeah,
Right.
just to find the comps.
I just
I
went
know,
by.
I'm sure I've spelled Angela Manzanone's name. She
We
put
did.
it-
We got her on
Yeah.
there. She put
Okay.
her on.
I
there.
think
But I don't know
have
if
a
it's
check.
spelt right.
What listing I'm talking about? It's on the lake and surrounded.
Linda.
Yes.
No, what's the rest? Shacks around it.
When I've had properties like that, listen, there's no way you're gonna be able to come up with a price on that property. Here's what I said to sellers. I even had, when I was an agent, I had a piece of paper, actually, it was a form, and it pointed out all the benefits to getting a professional appraisal. And I also had, in the second page was permission from them to order an appraisal.
Okay.
And they would pay for the appraisal. When the appraiser showed up the property, they would pay the $350, $450 for the appraisal.
Okay.
And the reason why I'm going to recommend this to you, that you have professional is there isn't an agent out there that has enough experience to know how to price your property.
Yeah.
It's extreme. Would you agree that it's extremely unique? The problem is if we guess at a price and it's too high, your house is going to become a white elephant. Whether you list it with me or anybody else, everyone's going to think there's something wrong with the house if it's on the market for too long. I don't want to do that to you. You don't want to do that to yourself. If the price comes in at $700,000 and you're expecting $1.1 million, and that's what a professional appraiser comes up with, well, then you know you won't have to waste your time putting it on the market. You make another plan, make another decision. Don't sell your house. Don't put it on the market. I'm not here to get your listing. I'm here to give you advice as to whether or not you should even sell your house.
Good.
But
You're not filming this, are you?
yeah, but you see what I'm saying?
Yeah,
It's
so
like,
that would be good, okay.
and if he doesn't want to do a professional appraisal, then I
Well,
wouldn't take the listing.
person,
you
they
know?
built it themselves, and the person he built it with passed away, and it's just he's very emotionally attached
That's
to it,
another
and I
problem.
don't
It's a
think
home, it's not a house.
he's not really as motivated as he likes to project, I don't think, so it's,
It's not the right time for
Yeah.
it. So, you know, it's kind of like when someone's emotionally attached to it, they feel like, you know, I'll sell it, but if I get my emotional value price for it.
right. And it's exactly, I mean, I could tell by just talking to him, so.
Yeah.
We'll see. I mean, I'll go out on the presentation. And what about the confidence? I mean, how do you get a lot of confidence when you don't have a lot of, that's where I'm having, I'm not a salesperson
Nope,
type,
and,
you know?
and I was not born that way either. I had to learn, like, all these dialogues, like you said, oh, that's good, you know.
Yeah.
Here's how I learned them. I'm going to be flat out honest with you, and that's how a lot of people learn. There are one of two ways to learn them. The hard way or the easy way. The hard way is you go out on appointments, and somebody gives you the objection. You list the house, you market it for 12 months, it doesn't sell, and then you find out, you come to a class like this, and then you learn, and like, oh, I should have said that.
Said that, yeah.
That's the hard way. And then guess what? You'll never, ever forget to say that ever for the rest of your real estate career because you learned the hard way. Like, you know, that was painful.
Yeah.
I worked for nothing, and this is how I can learn how to handle it. The second way to do it is to go on to www.floydwickman.com, buy his dialogue dictionary,
Really?
and listen to all these words of what to say, when to say it, how to say it.
But will it come out naturally? I mean, I can
Here's-
just hear myself
Here's what
going.
will happen. Here's what will happen. When you first hear it, it's not going to feel or look natural at all. Well, if you listen to them enough, like, I'll give you an example. Like, in the last class I gave, I said to everybody, listen, help me out with this. I said, I started singing this song, and I told them to finish it. I said, happy, and everyone goes, birthday to. I said, how did you know all those words? Well, we sang it a lot. How did you make it sound like you, though? How did you make it sound like it's not canned or like a canned presentation? Well, we just, from practicing a lot. I said, okay, well, that's your answer.
So just practice.
Practice the dialogues, and they will sound like you. Like if in a dialogue they say, listen, folks, this is what I want to tell you. If you don't use the word folks, you're not going to use it in real life, but you'll have the gist of it. Like the dialogues I gave you, they weren't verbatim as to how I learned them. I made them sound like me only because I just knew them. I know them. I practiced them long and I learned some the hard way, some the easy way. www.floydwickman, FLOYDWICKMAN.com, and go to and look for the product Dialogue Dictionary and buy it. If there's only one thing you could buy in real estate to invest in your mind, it would be that.
And then you
Because
just
the only thing
study
standing
it?
in your way, the secret of success in real estate is knowing what to say, knowing the dialogue, knowing the words. That's
Okay.
the secret.
All right.
You know, and you can be a brand new agent in the business, and because you know the words, you could destroy experienced agents, because just because they're experienced, they don't know what to say.
Yeah.
And if they don't know what to say, then they're not going to get the listing from you. And I gave you a few great ones today you can take away, you can use, and you know,
Okay.
it's all good stuff. But the dialogue dictionary is what you want to invest in. That'll be
Okay, great.
that'll
Thank
be
you.
You're welcome. Good luck.
Thanks.